There's a myth in comics that Superman is nigh on unkillable, and that just isn't true. Now, I am absolutely not trying to say that these characters would beat Superman in a straight fight. This would require the characters catching Superman by surprise, or perhaps him not fighting back due to being restrained, for example, but I am absolutely saying that these characters could potentially kill Superman without having to use anything other than their standard powers and or equipment. Now, those are quite a few conceits, but on those notes, using actual evidence from the comics, i.e. mentioning ways in which said characters could kill the Man of Steel through feats of power they've demonstrated before, I'm Scott from OurCulture.com, and these are 10 DC Comics characters who are weaker than Superman, but who could, in theory, kill him. Number 10, Kryptonite Man. Now, there have been several Kryptonite men, but let's focus on K. Russell Abernathy, a scientist who, after a failed experiment involving a kryptonite isotope enhancer, became a living Kryptonite Man. As mad scientists tend to do in such a situation, he immediately went on a rampage through the city, firing blasts of green energy from his eyes and causing Superman to intervene. Though obviously he struggled thanks to the fact that the culprit was made of his exact weakness. With that said, given that he only gained a slight increase in strength and endurance, his durability, speed, and strength aren't even close to Superman's level, nor does he possess the ability to fly or match the sheer power of Superman's heat vision. However, given that he can fire energy blasts made of Superman's inherent weakness, he could theoretically still kill the guy if given enough time by completely bombarding him with a relentless onslaught of these kind of blasts. Number 9, Manchester Black. Manchester Black is overall nowhere near as powerful as Superman. He possesses no super strength, no super speed, and no increased durability. The offensive power of his telekinesis, while extremely potent, isn't as devastating as the damage that Superman's physical strength and heat vision could potentially cause. However, Manchester Black has been shown capable of casually inducing a stroke in the Man of Steel. By telekinetically squeezing the capillaries in Superman's brain, which Black said were tough like concrete tubes, he caused Superman to twitch and convulse. It stands to reason, therefore, that if Black was to put everything he had into such an attack, he could kill Superman outright. And again, this is without going into the numerous ways he could kill him with a telepathic attack on Superman's mind. Black is capable of mind controlling the entirety of Superman's rogues gallery at once within his mind, including the likes of Doomsday. Seriously, he would be so completely overpowered and overwhelmed, all within his mind, that he would never stand a chance. Number 8 is Zatanna. People often say that Superman's second major weakness is magic, and that's wrong. It's not a specific weakness of his, it's just that he's no more invulnerable to it than the average person. I mean, look, in much the same way, a shotgun blast to the face would kill me, as magic can kill Superman, but it doesn't mean that shotguns are specifically a weakness of mine. That said, the fact that Superman isn't specifically invulnerable to it does mean that someone who possesses enough could kill him. Zatanna is a character whose magic is still pretty potent, and the specific nature of her spells does mean that she could get the job done. She's a member of the Homo Magi race, DC's name for magically empowered humans, and as such, she's genetically gifted with great magical talent. She has a vast number of spells at her disposal, which she usually casts by speaking backwards. So for example, if she wanted to put someone to sleep, she would just say peels. However, the backwards speaking is not always necessary to cast spells. With that in mind, being so powerful, simply saying Eid, which is die backwards, to Superman would cause him to collapse dead on the spot. Or there's Odysseus Timok, which is commit suicide backwards, or any other derivation you can think of. Number 7, Dr. Light. Able to wield, control, and manipulate light itself, I'm gonna go with Arthur Light for this entry, but it could well apply to Kamil Hoshi as well. For example, he could bend the light around him to become invisible, generate blasts of energy, create force fields, and he can even fly. By mentally repulsing photons, Light could create areas of complete darkness. He could power up by draining the ambient light of the area itself. As a result of his powers, Light could, for example, drain the ambient sunlight from Superman, thereby draining him of his powers and ultimately his very life force. Or he could replace the yellow sunlight in Superman's body, which powers him, with red sunlight, which weakens him and would ultimately kill him. Light has also shown the ability to take control of a Kryptonian's heat vision, which he could potentially use against the Man of Steel. Essentially, Light has complete control over the very source of Superman's powers, and that could be used to cause some fatal results. Number 6, Parasite. Parasite is another moniker that's been utilized by various individuals in the comic books, but as a general rule, they all kind of have the same powers. The character has the ability to temporarily absorb the energy, knowledge, and superpowers of another by being in touch, and has utilized this ability against Superman on numerous occasions quite effectively. In theory, if he was given the chance to absorb all of Superman's energies and powers, he could drain him of his life force. Again, however, he's another character who Superman really shouldn't have a problem with. At base level, Parasite possesses no enhanced physical statistics. No super speed, no super strength, no real durability to speak of, etc., and he can't fly. So Superman should have no problem defeating him with relative ease. Still, that's not to say that Parasite doesn't have the means to kill him in the right circumstances, because he certainly does. Number 5, Johnny Sorrow. Johnny Sorrow, who's an awesome character incidentally, has a very simple way of killing Superman. All Superman has to do is look at his exposed face and he'd die. Sorrow is by no means a low-powered character in general. He's a high-end energy manipulator who by default is actually completely intangible in his base form. That basically just means that he's invulnerable to all physical attacks. Having previously been a silent film actor, an accident with a teleportation device shredded his body and transported the remains to another dimension. From there, an entity called the King of Tears actually restored Sorrow's consciousness, which now inhabits a floating suit and mask. When he takes off the mask to expose his face, he becomes tangible, but anyone looking upon his gaze and who sees his grotesque features will almost certainly die. Indeed, it's so grotesque that it's even affected blind characters, and actually Johnny himself when he saw a recorded image of himself when he was once paralyzed. Given that his face has caused magical beings as powerful as the wizard Shazam to turn to stone, there's no justifiable reason why it wouldn't kill Superman outright. Number 4, Phantom Girl. Phantom Girl is a native of the planet Bugutstul. Let me know in the comments how the hell you pronounce this thing. And like everyone else from there, has the ability to turn intangible and phase through solid objects. As a result, theoretically, she could phase a solid object into Superman's heart, say something like a stone, and then turn it physical again, which would surely kill it. Aside from her phasing abilities, Phantom Girl can also fly, but apart from that, she has absolutely no mentionable superpowers whatsoever. Superman, therefore, is much faster, much stronger, and much more durable, alongside having a ton of esoteric abilities that Phantom Girl doesn't. However, in the right circumstances, she has the ability to kill him if she wants to, as do all other characters with the ability to phase, to be honest. Number 3, Sunboy. Sunboy is a superhero from the future of DC Comics, but who, through the wonders of time travel, has indeed encountered the heroes of the present on numerous occasions, including Kryptonians like Superboy. He has the ability to tap into internalized solar power, allowing him to project luminance and heat to whatever degree he desires, as well as manipulate it however he wishes. As a result, there's no reason why he couldn't rip the solar power straight out of Superman, sapping his energy until he was dead. He's also able to project light that's bright enough that it leads to permanent blindness, and it can be seen from miles away in space. He can concoct heat within seconds that can melt through steel or be tossed as fireballs. In the post-boot reality, Dirk also had infrared vision that could detect heat patterns. That said, none of those powers would do much to Superman in battle, and he has no real physical strength, speed, or durability to speak of. But still, given the right circumstance, he could bring Superman down. Number 2, Jesse Custer. Part of the Vertigo imprint of DC Comics, Jesse Custer is the protagonist of the comic book series Preacher. Fused with a powerful entity named Genesis, Custer was gifted with the ability to order people to do whatever he commands using a power known as the Word of God. That said, apart from this power, he is an otherwise ordinary human being without any enhanced physical statistics and who is nothing more than a relatively proficient hand-to-hand combatant. However, by simply saying to Superman, hey, kill yourself, or rip out your own heart, he could kill the Man of Steel with relative ease. One of Jesse's most memorable scenes involved him saying go fuck yourself to a guy he had some beef with, which the man promptly did, quite literally. Nice, huh? Number 1, Doomsday. Now this final one isn't in theory of course because it has actually happened, but the fact that Doomsday won is proof that Superman can be killed by a simple physical beating. That said, the fact that Superman allowed this to happen was nothing short of stupidity. Plot-induced stupidity of course, because he is actually far more powerful than his monstrous counterpart. In terms of basic physical strength and durability, the pair are relatively equal, but when you consider that Superman has consistently demonstrated a much higher level of super speed than Doomsday, can fly and has ranged attacks such as heat vision and freeze breath, you have to wonder why he resorted to the tactic of a close-range, non-super speed slugfest against such a behemoth. Had Superman fought tactically, he should have worn down Doomsday with relative ease, or taken the fight to space and dumped the non-flying Doomsday at the wrong end of the universe. But no, they chose to have a fist fight, which as we all know, killed the Kryptonian hero in the end. So there you have it. If you can think of any other DC characters that can take down Superman, let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I've been Scott from occult.com, and I'll catch you soon.